All right, so if the termites in this house decided that they had an appetite for makeup and they just carried it all off in the middle of the night, never to be seen again, what would I repurchase? That's what you asked, right? Yeah, I got a request recently to do an updated version of the, like, if all of my makeup disappeared, you know, for any kind of creative reason, what would be the first things that I would repurchase? And if you're new here, I am surrounded by more makeup than any human being could ever use in 10 lifetimes. So I had to put myself in like a really makeup agnostic mindset in order to start zeroing in on what I would rebuy. Like, I really had to actually imagine the scenario. And I filmed myself putting this face of makeup on to make sure that it went together. And I don't know if I'm going to leave it in with the editing, but there are so many moments where I'm just like holding two things in my hand, just going, because I just can't reason with myself. And so I am going to present to you the actual makeup bag that I would actually buy if I actually lost all of my makeup, like in some strange incident. And I'm gonna explain to you why I chose these things, because this is just such a unique assignment. It's such a unique thought experiment for someone who does not know what makeup scarcity is. I have brain scarcity. I have clarity scarcity because of all the makeup that I have, okay? Like, I consider myself very lucky, but also I did this to myself. Before we jump into that, I want to talk to y'all about today's sponsor. As y'all know, I am a long-standing VIP partner with Ana Luisa. Ana Luisa is my favorite jewelry company for so many reasons. They only use recycled gold in their plating. They now have expanded their offering from gold plating into silver and solid gold and diamonds. Like, they have something for everyone, and they're totally climate neutral. I always say beautiful, sustainable, affordable. They really meet me where I am in terms of who I want to be giving my money to for things like that. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but like literally all the jewelry I wear, if it wasn't installed by a piercer, it is from Ana Luisa, and if they made piercing jewelry, I would buy that from them too. So the reason that I bring this up is because maybe you have not thought about the upcoming Mother's Day holiday yet, okay? As a mom myself, I see it as a perfectly good excuse to peruse their website because I do it all the time, but also, gosh darn it, I just love my mom. And I always say, I literally say this all the time in my videos, the best gift is something that someone just uses and uses and uses. Like, I want my gifts to be useful. The jewelry that I have bought for my mom over the years has always turned out to be one of those like really satisfying gift-giving experiences because I get to see her enjoy the pieces. And also there's something about knowing someone well enough to pick something out for them that's just so like tender and sweet, because Ana Luisa has an enormous selection. There's everything from like really delicate things to more like statement jewelry like this and this. In fact, let me walk you through the new ones here in the collection on my body. First, this is so beautiful. I actually was like thinking about my grandmother recently because she was such an inspiration for me growing up to like adorn myself. Like, she was always just like laden with gold jewelry, and I always just thought it was so fabulous. And like, as I get older, I just want to keep wearing more jewelry. I don't know if you noticed that about me over the arc of my channel. It just keeps getting like more. All that to say, we had some real estate open on my thumb, and I liked this because in the event that it wasn't a perfect fit, it was adjustable, but it's just this really gorgeous statement ring that has a nice gap and it's really comfortable to wear. I love looking down at my hands when they are just like covered in jewelry. It feels really good to me. I'm also a huge fan of like a medium to small size gold hoop. I don't want anything too heavy because it will weigh down my lobes underneath my ears where, you know, I have like plugs, my ears are stretched. And so I love that Ana Luisa has such a huge selection of hoops. Like, they're high quality, but they're delicate. And I have so many pairs of beautiful like mid-size hoops like this from Ana Luisa that it's just really fun to choose between in the morning when I'm getting ready. And finally, look at this little thing. It is so sweet. It has this little opal in it. Like I said, Ana Luisa has some of just the most delicate, gorgeous, like minimal jewelry, and I just love mixing them up. I love a good like stack, like a neck mess, but I also love like a really nice delicate moment when I have a lot going on everywhere else. So if you know anyone in your life, or you are anyone in your life who just really enjoys a heartfelt gift in the form of something that makes you feel beautiful, I highly recommend checking out Ana Luisa for your Mother's Day gifting, your self-gifting, and beyond. Click my link down below, browse the website. I guarantee you will find something that you love. And thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring a portion of today's video. And with that, y'all, let's go ahead and jump into if all of my makeup disappeared, what would I buy first? And we're actually gonna total it up too, like the actual amount. I hope I didn't break the bank. I don't really know what bank, but I hope I didn't break it. Does that reference a piggy bank? Is that what you like break the bank? It's like have to break a piggy bank. Things at 37 I have never thought about in my life. So this is a pretty big 180 from my top shelf because there were a lot of people who pointed out in the comments like, hey, why wasn't the Lisa Eldridge skin tint in your top shelf? And I was like, it doesn't have enough coverage and my skin's really bad right now, whatever. And I would just like to issue a correction. I should have included it. It should have been something that I was using enough to qualify as my top shelf because it's so darn good. And if I lost all my makeup, this would be the first foundation that I would repurchase. Yes, above the Prada, above the Danessa Myricks, above, what else do I like? Anyway, this would be the one. It's so light and gorgeous. And I have a pregnant friend who got nauseous and threw up, and I'm sorry to say that, but like she got done and she was like, wow, this skin tint really holds up. Okay, it's been road tested, and every time I wear it, it'll be like 6, 7, 8 hours later and I look at myself in like a mirror of truth. Something in the car, you know, and I'm like, dang, I look like I have fresh Botox, you know? Now, do I have fresh Botox? No, like I'm not gonna lie, things are definitely bending. This is not going to like freeze your forehead. Those are claims that I cannot corroborate, but it does make everything look so darn smooth, okay? None of us is out here getting any younger. This makes me look younger. And I would also like to issue a correction just based on this product. I always say like, I don't want skincare in my makeup, blah, 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 blah. And that's because I have skincare in my skincare and I don't necessarily want a ton of moving parts, but guess freaking what? I don't know what's in this specifically. I mean, I do know what's in it, but I don't know what in it specifically is just absolutely flattering my skin to the nines. Like my skin is so happy when I wear this foundation, and that's the thing that truly sets it apart from everything else. Like, do I own things that are beautiful? Yes. Would I kick Prada and Danessa Myricks out of bed if someone were going to like buy it for me had I lost all of my makeup? No, but with my own dollars, this both hits the marks in terms of like one of the most beautifully wearing things that I have ever put on my face, and also my skin freaking loves it and it improves my complexion when I wear it. I mean, look at it. You can't argue with your eyeballs, you know? We're in 4K and it looks fantastic. I don't know what she did here, but none of it is bad. All right, so we're just going to jump into me asking myself the really hard questions. One was like, would I spring for like an under eye corrector or something? Most people would argue that they're not really necessary in your routine because it's like, you can always use concealer, and like, are we trying to be minimal in terms of like how much I'd be spending and how much I would be kind of acquiring if I were buying a brand new routine of makeup? And I would just say that I probably would rebuy this, okay? It's really functional. This is the Sigma Spectrum Color Correcting Duo. I have the lightest shade, light to medium. And it just makes it so that I don't have to wear as much concealer, and I love the texture of it, and my skin really loves the texture of it. We are just now hitting like humidity season. Thank God. Here in New Jersey, I mean, it was at like 50% yesterday, humidity. I was very happy, and you can see my skin is happy about it too. I don't even have the air conditioning on in my house. I'm just like, yes, I just want to like roast. Thank you, Florida girl forever. All that to say, my skin, even at its worst, this did more to improve the appearance of the areas that I would put coverage, like extra coverage, like concealer, than a concealer does on its own. It like made the concealer look better, but I also had the option of whether I would even want to wear concealer. So I would repurchase this. And also, one thing that I really tried to keep in mind when I was putting this curation together was what other makeup looks would I be able to achieve either in a lower coverage, lower, you know, fewer product kind of situation, or if I really wanted to dial up the drama, would I be able to get more than one look out of this face of makeup? And the answer is yes. And so I think that especially if I only wanted to wear a tiny bit of coverage, like skip foundation, whatever, this still blends well enough into my skin that it doesn't look like makeup, and it just makes me feel more confident. And I think that I would pick it even over like the Becca under eye corrector and stuff like that. The Sigma's actually a little more expensive than I expected it to be. I did receive this in PR and memory just didn't serve, so I wanted to offer y'all an alternative. The Ulta Under Eye Brightener comes in 2 shades, but it is a total banger and it's only $10. Especially for something like this in your routine, it doesn't need to be the most specific of formulas. They're almost all the same. I would definitely go for this one. Also, I do not know how this got skipped over in the actual video. I think it's probably because I feel like I've talked about this concealer so much that everyone's sick of it. But my concealer of choice would be the Tower 28 Swipe Concealer. I wear the shade CC. I just love it because it's incredibly lightweight. I don't have to powder it. It is the most versatile formula of concealer that I have in my routine. I can wear it on a bare face, or I can get a lot of coverage out of it for a really good high glam face. And it's $22. There's just something to be said for the initial buy-in being so approachable. We're gonna get into me being a little bit like color theory high maintenance here, because I would buy 2 bronzers. And I usually travel with 4. I think that I was being really restrained. So the first would be the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. I have it in light. This is just one of the most important products in my routine. It is a gel weight bronzer-ish product that when you apply it, all it does is kind of like give the life back to your skin after you have more or less just made your face the same color, like everywhere with a complexion product, a foundation or whatever. And no matter what you're using in that sense, it doesn't look real when you cover your whole face in a foundation. It just doesn't look completely real. And I feel like this pulls the reality back out of my face. So it's like, if I were wearing no foundation, I could use this as a bronzer, but with foundation, it truly reads as like just breathing life back into my skin. It is not, however, something that I would pile up and use as a bronzer, but it is so versatile and it is so flattering. And also the texture of it is so nourishing and beautiful and like dewy on my dry skin that it's absolutely no wonder that this is my second one. I literally finished one of these last year, so I love this stuff. It was weird, you know, you kind of get into a flow state when you're picking these kinds of things, and I realized that the bronzer that I would buy, especially for the price, because obviously I would want to buy the thing that made the most sense for the money. I think that that's sort of the motivation behind this exercise. Y'all, I would buy Glossier Cloud Paint Bronzer in sale. This completely refreshed my memory on all of the beautiful selling points and the specialness of the Cloud Paint formula. And formulas don't always translate from blush to bronzer perfectly well. I like the bronzer better than I like the Cloud Paint blushes. It just works. It has a really nice opacity to it. The shade range, for being a not huge shade range, there's like a really good weird dispersion of undertones and depths. Like, I just think it's a smart release, and it's not expensive. I don't know if y'all have ever owned a Cloud Paint, but like, don't underestimate this little tube. I defy you to finish one within a year. I mean, it's so much more product than you think that there is. It is a third of an ounce, which is, you know, a third of what you would get in a foundation, and you're using it as a bronzer. It's just a very cost-effective little tube if one of the colors really appeals to you. This is where I would go with it. Okay, I have a confession, and that is, this was one of the big, like, dumb decisions that I had to make, and I will admit I didn't actually make the decision. I was like, I would choose the Laura Mercier, the new powder, because I love a translucent setting powder. This is like the best translucent setting powder for dry skin that I've used in a really long time. Maybe the best ever. And it was just such an instant win for me that I was like, duh, I can't live without that. But as I got into doing my makeup and like finishing it out, I realized everything was kind of a little too all one color, and I wanted to be able to balance it out with a little bit of like lightness and a little bit more coverage in certain places, and that like, it's not about which one. I would buy both. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They just serve different purposes. I would still buy the Kosas Cloud Set in Airy, and I would also buy the Laura Mercier. Here's the thing, right? In all of my dry skin woes, my under eyes are the worst part. And even sometimes my skin gets so dry that the Kosas is too much underneath my eyes. Like, it can still look crepey because it does have a little bit more coverage. This is, honestly, they should have called it like the whisper powder. It is I mean, obviously it's starting to hard pan. Like, it's so hard pressed that you don't pick very much product up to begin with, but it's just the most undetectable, featherweight, lighter than air powder that truly is almost colorless on my skin. And so if you want a little more coverage, you know, you're gonna wanna reach for the Kosas. I have no idea what your skin type is. If you have oily skin, do not buy either of these, okay? That's not who they're for. And I can't buy oil controlling powders. They will ruin a face of makeup in one step. So just don't do it. Take it out of your cart if you have oily skin. All that to say, if you do have dry skin and you want to be able to just adjust the texture on your skin and have even like a no makeup kind of face of makeup, or even if you don't even have makeup on, but you just want to like blot the oily shininess off of your under eyes or something, I swear to God, this stuff is undetectable. And I've said this a few times. I'll say it again. Laura Mercier needed a win, okay? They needed a win. And this is a win. This is a huge win. And the Kosas has just always been a mainstay on my channel. I've been through, what, like 4 of these since it came out, something like that. It's just got a little bit of coverage. It's a really forgiving kind of powder. I use this in all of my photo shoots with Finding Ferdinand because it just looks good in every circumstance. Like it takes lighting really well. Like if it's, you know, your wedding day, it's not gonna be like reflective and do anything like HD. Obviously I'm using it on camera all the time. You're never seeing any bounce back. And it comes in a gazillion shades. So everybody can find something for them. I love this stuff. Blush, y'all, I have to say, I held it in my hand and then I pivoted, and here's why. And I even like swatched the difference. So what we do a lot of times when we think about like, I'm gonna be a minimalist, right? Is we like lie to ourselves. We're like, I would buy the face of makeup that doesn't really choose a hard line one way or the other from like an undertone standpoint. I would want it to be as versatile as possible or as neutral as possible. Then I realized I was lying to myself. I thought that I would buy the Patrick Ta Not Too Much Blush Duo because this is a powder and a cream. It's a 2-for-1 and it's so versatile, right? It's a little bit peachy, it's a little bit pink, it's a little bit beige, it's a little bit a lot of things, but it's not too much of anything, which is why it's called Not Too Much. I really thought that like when I got to this step in my makeup routine, this was gonna feel really intuitive, and it just didn't. And you know what did feel intuitive? I'm gonna swatch these so that you can see the difference. What felt intuitive was this new NARS, and this is the newest thing that's in this entire curation, right? This entire makeup bag, but this is not a new product by any means. It just, they removed the talc. Someone informed me about that in the comments of my last video when I talked about this, but this is the NARS reformulated blush in Behave, and it's just an amazing color. You look at it and you're like, is that kind of the same color as Not Too Much? No, it's a little bit peacher. It's a little bit warmer. It's a little bit less committed in terms of being pink. And this formula is so much better. I like the Patrick Ta combination. I think that it works, but I have always said that the powder is just a little bit pigmented for my taste. And it's hard to call something not too much when it does kind of go on in a way that can be too much if you're not careful. Whereas this, I could pound this on my skin with a brush with my eyes closed. It's just a really, really easy to work with formula. They did a fantastic job with the reformulation. So yes, that's a very subtle difference, but I would choose this one because it's more beige and it's a little more peach and less committed to the bit in terms of pink. However, I did pick an undertone, not an undertone. I picked a warmth value of the color cosmetics that were going to go on my face in this routine. Instead of trying to just play to the middle, you know, lie to myself, only choose the most neutral things that could be as versatile as possible. What that would do is it would make me continue shopping for more color cosmetics because I would be like, yep, this is a great jumping off point. But in the flow chart of how I do my makeup, I'm gonna wanna reach for coral, okay? And it would have made me just go buy all of my favorite coral things in some kind of frantic effort to like regain my grip on what it is that I love, instead of taking a more measured approach and being like, okay, like if we want coral, which coral do we want? I know, right? Really? RMS? That's the one of all the coral blushes in my routine? Yes, and do you know why? Because it works beautifully on top of makeup, on top of powder, and it works beautifully on bare skin. It is the most versatile formula in my collection as far as corals go, and it is fluorescent, unabashed coral. That is something that's like, if I wanted to buy a coral that was going to serve a ton of different purposes in a makeup routine, I would want it to be something that pushes it that hard. Because I want coral when I want coral, okay? But if you take this, look at it against those other ones. If you take this on a really huge brush, which I have done before, it doesn't even fit in there. I have to do that and then like pat it off on my hand to like get it evenly on the brush, but this is BK105. I use this in like the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer usually. But I have used this to apply it in a really thin layer in a bunch of different places on my face with no other complexion product, and it looks so natural. Like when my freckles show through and everything like that, it just looks like a really natural flush on me. That's why I go coral so much, is because it's like my natural flush that I would get from being out in the sun or, you know, taking a lap or whatever, but just a little bit better. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm gonna put makeup on, I want it to be a slight improvement on what would happen naturally, and it just like pushes it that much towards health, which is what I need. So yeah, this is the shade Smile. I did not mention that. I'm mentioning it now. This is RMS Smile. Let's move into my weird odds and ends products real quick, because that will be the next step in my routine. And that is, I fought myself hard on these, and it's dumb because they both look from the outside like they would serve the same purpose, but they don't. They don't. Not in my routine. I know both of them, and they're expensive. They're stupidly expensive, but I would still do it. I was like, ah, crap. And the thing that I told myself is, if there was some kind of horrible emergency, such as me losing all of my makeup, Natalie of My Skin Trust would like overnight one of these to me. She would be like, I'm sorry, this is a life or death situation. You need your matte bronzing brick from Victoria Beckham. She's the one who bought me the replacement pan, okay? Like, it was urgent, and it's because nothing else is like this. So yeah, the Victoria Beckham Beauty Matte Bronzing Brick in 01. Do I use this one? No. Have I tried to use this one? Yes. Does it work? No, I can't explain it. And we have done some pretty good due diligence in figuring out like other products that kind of mimic this a little bit, like the lighter shade in there, without it being something that you have to buy two of and not use the other side of. Like, I know that that's awfully silly. And we've gotten close. There is the YSL one that's like $60 or something like that. And then you could argue, I don't know, you could probably argue that you could find like a really good like neutral powder or something, but honestly, it really shakes out in the wash like the cost, and I'm gonna use this and still replace the pan. It becomes less expensive in the long run, and that is what I'm telling myself. Girl math. Because if I try to leave that product out of my makeup routine, I just feel like there's a Victoria Beckham matte bronzing brick shaped hole in my makeup routine. I can't live without it. Well, I mean, I can live without it. I just can't do my makeup without it. So the other thing, hear me out. Hear me out. First of all, I just hit pan on this. Oh my God, I'm so freaking excited. Like, I don't know why I'm excited or why I'm surprised, but I hit pan on this. It's been years. This is the Film Star Bronze and Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. I'll say what I always say. She needs to make the mini in both color ways. Yep, both shade values, because no one needs the full size. I've been working on the mini for literally years, and I just now hit pan. And also, this highlight I have never really made much use out of, but if I were going to buy a whole new face of makeup, guess what? When I got done doing my eye makeup and everything, I was like, oh, I would never use this as a highlighter because it's like too much, but it works great as an inner corner highlight and saves me on having to buy another product, which I did actually quibble about. I was like, do I want the Natasha Denona highlighter? Am I really gonna go spend $50 on that highlighter just because I want an inner corner highlight that's breathtaking and beautiful? Probably not. So this already contains it. That made my life easier. It was one fewer thing to think about, one fewer thing to have to buy. That is my girl math excuse for why I need the Film Star Bronze and Glow. I mean, also the contour is like exceptionally delightful and I use it constantly. I really thought hard about what I would do palette versus single shadows wise, because you hit a point where single shadows become more expensive than buying a palette, right? And so a palette would kind of make sense on the face of it, except I travel so much, and when it comes to my eyeshadow, I A, don't want it to be fragile, and B, I just don't want it to take up a ton of room. An eyeshadow palette can just be huge. So I considered a quad from, I'm pointing because it's behind me, from YSL. I considered the like souffle shadow that I love so very, very much from Surratt, and like combining that. But the thing is, I would still want to reach for something that gave me depth. I would still want to reach for something that gave me more sparkle. It's just like I needed there to be the versatility. And so this is what I ended up with, and I don't know how it shakes. It's probably like this. I think this comes out to like $100 for the 3 of these, which is not cost effective, but it is space effective. It is efficiency effective. Merit Solo Shadows. I know 2 months ago, you could have knocked me over with a feather if you told me that I was going to be obsessing over the Merit Solo Shadows. I will die on this hill. I will go hard for these. These are exceptional, okay? And the colors are great. So I chose Studio and Mid-Century. The reason that I chose those is because they are kind of in a common color value that when it gets on my skin does not go too cool, and they cooperate really well, they build really well, and they're very matte. So it's like I can get any combination of very natural to a little more drama with these, and they go really well with my undertones, and then they also go pretty well with like a coral cheek like I chose. So we're going kind of neutral to coral, not like full coral, but these will go with it either way. And then if you're really going to go for the coral and you want me to like, you know, sell you on that fantasy, it's gonna be Hourglass Blaze. Do I own 3 of these? Yes, but Blaze is the warmest, copperest one, and I feel like it goes really beautifully with any kind of coral themed tonal look, and you can wear a little bit of it or a lot of it. You can get a really beautiful, like grungy, rock and roll, smoky eye. I sound like such a goober, like a grown-up when I say that. Look, oh, rock and roll in the chat room. Of all of them, I would choose Blaze just because that was the color story that we chose. It's the easiest thing for me to wear, and it was gonna be an Hourglass Scattered Light Shadow regardless. It would have been this array, but this is the one. It's just easier for me to wear. Like, yes, do I want a bedroomized brown in my repertoire at all times? Ideally, but in this case, I don't think it would be the first thing that I would buy because it is in and of itself drama. It's like instant easy drama, but I don't want drama as my only option in my makeup bag if I had to pare it down. Eyeliner, it was between this and the tiramisu from Sephora, but I went with Cinnamon from Victoria Beckham. It can be used as just about anything on me because it is a bedroomized brown eyeliner, and this formula is exceptional. It goes on like a gel, it spreads really easily. This little thing actually serves a purpose, as you can tell by the fact that it has product on it. Like, I actually use the little smudger. And then this is a super effective actual eyeliner for me, but it can also blend out because it's a little bit shimmery and it's got that like red base to it. It can blend out and look like a bedroomized brown. If I wanted to like smear it all over my eyeball, I could, you know, and get like an eyeshadow effect. So this is super duper versatile. I can't say enough about this formula in general. But the reason that it won out over tiramisu is just out of the versatility, because you can get something really subtle or something really just like dramatic and beautiful with it, but also it's just such an easier formula to work with than the tiramisu. Like, it's really hard to get that Sephora eyeshadow to get like all the way into your lashes without just kind of like starting to get like a sore lash line, because it does kind of, I feel like it started to dry out over time, whereas I've never had that issue with the Satin Kajal eyeliners from Victoria Beckham. I think that they're worth every penny. And yes, I bought this one. I always say my mascara should be no surprise, but at the same time, what is so funny is like, this is the first product I ever reviewed on my channel as a makeup channel. And it is still the product that I use. It is like still my favorite mascara. That is hilarious. That says a lot. I've been doing this since January 1, 2018. And this is still the only mascara I want to use. So this is the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara from Thrive, the tubing mascara. It comes in this beautiful, like deep brown that works perfectly for me. I don't have a whole lot of issues holding curl, and so I do curl my lashes, but this doesn't weigh them down. And the entire experience is just a delight. Like, the whole thing is like weighted and it's metal. I have no reason to use anything else. It has never ever wronged me, not once. Plus, everybody used to really complain that that was an expensive mascara. I think it may have gone up like $1 since it came out, but since then, every other prestige mascara has come up to meet it price-wise or eclipsed it in price. And so like Thrive is kind of like middle of the road at this point, whereas people used to think that that was super expensive. Interesting. I actually just bought this. Usually I am lucky enough that Kosas comes out with something new brow-wise enough that they just like, you know, re-up me on everything all at once, and I have not had to buy one of these in a long time, but speaks volumes that when it came to me needing a new brow gel, I spent my own money on it. So this is the Kosas Air Brow in soft brown. It does have like a teeny tiny bit of like mica in there, but like not that you can detect like actual sparkles. It just makes everything really dimensional looking, I feel like. And then, yeah, I wouldn't spring for the Kosas Clear. It's fine, but I like the Kulfi better. I like the Kulfi Free the Brow because it's restylable. Like, it holds really beautifully, but like if you did find that like you did something weird with it or something, like it has like a little bit of a pomade texture to it. And so you can take this little tool and go back into your brows at any point, okay? And I'm not saying that Kosas doesn't do this, but this just makes it a little bit easier, and I think that the hold is a little bit more of like a lamination effect. But the thing that you come up against a lot of times with products that do the lamination effect is that they will, if you try and restyle them, just start flaking off like glue. Refi, I'm looking at you. That's what keeps me from deviating a lot of times from the Kosas offering. But when they sent me this, it was just kind of love at first use, and I have not strayed from it since. So I would absolutely rebuy both of these, and I wouldn't rebuy an eyebrow pencil. I have been back in the habit of using an eyebrow pencil, but push come to shove, if I were repurchasing these things, I don't think that that is something that I would buy. not my first trip. And for lips, y'all, if someone stole all of my makeup, I would still have so many clear lip glosses and balms living in my purse. I cannot choose a favorite, but you know it would probably be the YSL Candy Glaze. That's just an easy decision. But what am I wearing right now? I'm wearing the Thrive. I'm wearing the clear Thrive one. I mean, it's just literally whatever's in my reach. I am almost agnostic to like what clear lip gloss or balm that I use. It's just whatever is nearby. So I don't want to necessarily point you in a direction as if you need to go and hunt down whatever my favorite clear lip balm gloss thing is, because any clear lip gloss you have is fine. And finally, y'all, I know, and I'm not even going to apologize, I know that it would be my first trip out the door to refresh my makeup routine, to refresh my stash, I would pick up a basic original MAC Fix Plus, because she's that girl. Nothing has ever made makeup look more beautiful on my skin. I can have a disastrous time putting my makeup on, and if I douse myself in enough Fix Plus, I will look like a glowing goddess who has smooth skin and has never seen a wrinkle in her life. It's just got a lot of glycerin in it. It melts your makeup. It smells really nostalgic to me because I just have always loved it. And yeah, it's not like inexpensive. I think they've got them up to like 35 bucks at this point, 33, something like that. Ulta will put them on sale. People will put them on sale here and there. And when that happens, I stock up on them. That's why I bought them all like half price during the Ulta sale last year. But nonetheless, I would absolutely buy this my first trip out the door because it makes such a huge difference. Like when I forget my setting spray when I'm traveling, it just, nothing works. Nothing works. It's just very, very important. Because to me, it's not a wear time thing. It is making all of the powders that I have put on my skin, because they're high performing powders, then melt together with everything else and look like a human being who has life in her body instead of a sarcophagus over the course of the day. I just need the hydration at every step that I can possibly get it. But I also like the versatility of texture of being able to use powders in some of my steps so that my skin isn't just like a sludge pile, you know? So this makes it look like every product you put on was like delightfully, perfectly dewy, but it works best when you use it over powder, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to melt powder down. It is an incredible compliment to this entire collection. And beep boop boop beep boop beep boop beep boop boop. Grand total $673. I don't have a takeaway from that other than the fact that I am really glad that the termites did not carry my makeup off in the night, because I wouldn't want to have to buy all that all at once. Oh, I just love an exercise like this. If y'all have any other mental exercises you'd like me to execute on my channel, let me know. I think that when any creator, any person is surrounded by, steeped in, at the risk of being actually eaten by a carnivorous stash the size of mine or other beauty creators, any exercise that makes us have to like step back and distill it down to the essentials is a useful exercise for everyone involved. So I hope that you found this useful. If you did, please do give the video a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed and you enjoyed this and you want to continue weighing in on future videos and things like that, subscribe while you're here. I want to thank Ana Luisa for partnering with me for today's video. I highly encourage y'all to check out my link down below so that you can shop their beautiful offering on site. I will put a video up here that I think you'll enjoy if you liked this one. And I love y'all, my current subscribers. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here video after video. You're just the absolute best. Your comments are incredible. That is all, y'all. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.